Yo, what up? We are covering the 2021. We're just a couple weeks away from the Breeders' Cup. It's way too early to predict. There is no post positions yet, but we figured it's a good time to start laying out our thoughts on the winners and, who's a threat, who's legit, who isn't, blah, blah, blah. I got with me my guy, Vinny Blond, picks by Dynasty, Real Dynasty. Vinny, what up, man? How you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. How about you?
Doing well, getting excited for the Breeders' Cup. It's my favorite event every year, by far. This year, we're going to cover actually 6 races. The last 5 on Saturday and the main event on Friday night, the Juvenile. We can just jump right in a second. I just wanted to lay out. We're going to do the Juvenile, the Sprint, Mile, Distaff, Turf, and the Classic, and try to build some kind of. We're not going to build any tickets or anything like that. That's crazy right now because it's way too soon. But let's at least talk about winners. So let's kick it off with the Juvenile. That's going to be the main event on Friday. What I'm going to do is lay out the top 5 according to the TVG odds at this point, which at this point is a few days old since they've updated. But we'll drop it out there, and then we'll let Vinny and myself kind of throw our 2 cents in on what we think on these odds. So. TVG has the Juvenile top 5 listed as Pinehurst, Corniche, Jack Christopher, Rattle and Roll, and Winning Map. And they have the top 4 basically at 2-1 and 3-1, and Winning Map at 10-1, kind of the long shot. And I know Vinny and I have talked about some others that aren't even listed here. What's your initial thoughts on this race?
I think Chad Brown's got a real good horse in Jack Christopher. I saw him run in person at Saratoga earlier this year. He just seems like he's one of these good Chad Brown horses that's just gonna keep winning at least for a bit. I don't know how far he wants to go. The mile and a 16th around
That's
2
the
turns.
Question.
Yeah,
that's the question everybody's got. But
it might be an issue. But
he was absolutely bored in that win at Saratoga. I saw the same race you did. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't there, but I saw it, and it was very impressive. I remember taking mental note of Jack Christopher. That's one of those horses we're going to be talking about constantly for the next year. As long as he stays healthy and everything. But
yeah,
I was kind of surprised TVG didn't have him listed as the favorite. But
yeah, I mean the one turn. I mean his Champagne win was very impressive. I thought too. The one turn is just I think the concern. I mean Chad's won the Juvenile before. He won it with Good Magic a few years back. I mean the horse is sired by Munnings, which is kind of concerning for 2 turns, but. The way his 2 races, he's done nothing to say that he can't at least go a mile and a 16th.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I haven't seen anybody who really should be considered a favorite besides him, in my opinion. I know the 2 West Coast horses there with the 2 Baffert horses, Pinehurst and Corniche. They looked good. But I don't think I didn't think they were as impressive as Jack Christopher in their wins.
And if you're going to question the distance for Jack Christopher, Command Performance is one that stood out as a real long stride, closing stride. That is the type that could be a threat on the longer distance if Jack Christopher is going to get beat. And agreed with Corniche, looked pretty good as well. Is there anybody else not in this top 5 to 7 horses that you see as a threat here?
I kind of like Rattle and Roll a little bit. McPeak's not one usually to really overplace horses that haven't won for the Breeders' Cup. He's not one just to throw one in just to hope. So if he's gonna run a horse in here, especially a 2-year-old, horse is probably doing pretty good. So maybe one to keep an eye on. The Breeders' Futurity was impressive. But
yeah,
it still I don't think was as impressive as Jack Christopher's Champagne.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it's not Jack Christopher, Rattle and Roll, or Command Performance at this point, but who knows? I think we'll wrap up the Juvenile talk. Like we said, we're not even sure on the post position draw. That's usually 3 or 4 days ahead of time, but we're still a week or so away from that, but we're doing the best we can because we're fired up to get it done anyway. So next up we'll cover is the sprint on Saturday, and this looks to me, and I'll let you speak on it first, but the top 5 that TVG has is Jackie's Warrior, Dr. Shivel, however you want to pronounce that, because everybody pronounces it different and thinks they have it right. Forense Fire, you got CZ Rocket and Flagstaff look to be the top 5 on TVG right now. To me, it's a Jackie's Warrior single. Thanks for coming out. If you want to get cute, throw in Dr. Shivel. Nobody else has a shot. What do you think on that, Vinny?
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with that. I think Jackie's Warrior is going to be very tough. If he doesn't win, it's going to be because Dr. Shivel is pressing, and just he's been impressive. The one, like, I get that CZ Rocket and Flagstaff, we kind of know what they are. Yeah, maybe they could pull an upset, but if I was going to use a long shot here, I would use Following C if Pletcher sends him. The Vosberg
had some impressive runs.
The Vosberg was very impressive, and besides when they decided oh, we're going to try to stretch this horse out. And like he got destroyed in what was it, the Haskell? He wasn't even close. And then they wheeled him back, and he ran in the Jerkins against Jackie's Warrior and Life is Good. And I mean, obviously that would be like he would need a pace meltdown, but I mean he came back. He came back impressively. I mean his one-turn races are not bad.
He finished 3rd in that race.
Yeah, a distant. I mean, by like 10
yeah, those 2 were gone. That was
those
2 were meant to be gone, though. I mean,
you finished third by about 10 lengths, and like the track on Travers Day was playing a little more towards the front end, but I mean, definitely the 2 best horses finished 1-2. But especially like if you're gonna play like a cold exact or something, like rather than try to play like Jackie's Warrior over like Flagstaff, which is you're probably gonna get like $3 on for $1.
Yeah.
You might get like 7 or 8 for Following C, and I think he's got just as much of a chance to pick up pieces here as anybody else, and should be a big price.
So I think what we need to talk about, other than that, I think that's a good off play if you want to fade Jackie's Warrior, which is a tough fade, but will Forense Fire chew another horse's face off during the race? That's really what the question is, because that was the most impressive performance of the year in this division. But Forense Fire, class horse, obviously, awesome horse, not going to win, might get 3rd.
Yeah, he's another one. He's like Flagstaff and CZ Rocket. Like
they're just not in the same class as those top 2 to me.
I mean Jackie's Warrior is on another. Like if you take away these two turn races last year in the Juvenile, and then earlier this year in the the Rebel? Was it the Rebel he ran in, or whatever, or the Southwest, or something? Something where
early Derby prep.
Yeah, something where he ran into Essential Quality. You take away those two turn races. I mean, he's a monster around 1 turn, and like he just does. I mean, his fractions and stuff are just unreal. He proved that he can stalk. When he stalked Life is Good in the Jerkins. Like he's just right now he just seems like the best, and he probably will be 90% of people's singles on tickets, which
he's probably going to be even money at best too, and Dr. Shivel will be.
I would, if he's even money, I would be shocked. I'm expecting him to be probably.
Are you dropping the hammer if he's even money?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully expecting Jackie's Warrior to be 3 to 5.
Yep. Dr. Shivel probably 2 to 1, and then everybody else. 15 to 1.
Exactly. So like that, and like that's a race where like if you're playing the race, if you're playing the race straight up, like really take a look at like your doubles probables or like your exacta probables and see either where the money's going or like if you can if there's value to be had, because there's gonna be no value playing Jackie's Warrior to win, like just straight up to win, unless you have the bankroll to turn 50 grand, use 50 grand and make like $2 grand. So
Borrow
it's
$5 million from a trust fund, baby, and jam it all in on that. Get $1 million out of it. So
exactly.
all right. Yeah, I think that's the least bettable race out of everything we're going to cover. Maybe tied with another one. But next, let's look at the Turf Mile. This is the race that I guarantee we can talk about till we're blue in the face for 48 hours straight and not get right, because nobody ever gets this one right. TVG's top 5 is Order of Australia and Mo Forza, both at around 2-1. Space Traveler they have as their third choice at 3-1. Lope Fernandez 5-1, and Smooth Lake Straight 6-1. What's your take on this race? Because I'll be honest with you, Order of Australia last year broke every one of my tickets, broke my life. My life fell apart on that day. Race 9, whatever that was last year, that horse was 60-1 or whatever it was. Broke my spirit.
I had him to win.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Wow.
I had him to win.
Was it all bet win?
No, I wish he wasn't my top pick, but I played him I played him to win with like 10 minutes to post, because he was an Aiden O'Brien horse at like 60-1. And I'm like, he shouldn't be. Basically, it was a bet because I'm like, he shouldn't be 60-1. He should.
Everybody knows if there's a race where somebody's going to blow up the tote board, it's obviously going to be a turf race, and it's most likely going to be a race like this where it's all about jockeying for position. If you don't get a good trip, somebody wild could come up and win like that. And now he's the favorite. Now he's going to be around the favorite. You still like him?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
I don't like. I mean, his last race was bad. I mean, they shipped him in. They shipped him in for they shipped him in for that Keeneland Turf Mile, and he was just bad. I think he ran last or next to last. He didn't move. But it won. It's a race where right, and this is a race where like I feel like especially the turf races that have a good European presence. Don't pay attention to the live odds. Like if you like a horse, like press your opinion on it.
Good advice.
Because there's a lot, like the Order of Australia, for example. Like that horse, I mean, he should have been like 15-1 last year. Like if you looked at his form, but he was just forgotten about, and like so he wasn't getting bet, and other horses were getting bet. So I mean, that's why I used him. I mean, Mo Forza, just all that horse does is win.
Yeah, so that's gun to my head, and you make me pick a winner. I think that's the horse. I mean, that's because he just wins, and that's that's more important than anything on turf.
Yeah,
Smooth Lake Straight's had some great races, but seems to always get second or third, not win. I don't know. I don't even want to speculate any deeper on this field because I don't think we really know this field that well yet. We're not sure who's.
Right, you don't know who's coming. I mean, there's going to be a couple. I mean, like you're going to have some fillies and mares in here. If Chad sends blowout looked really good last time out, and she's a pace presence. Yeah, so that's that's a horse that you're probably going to have to look at depending on the pace. In Love, who won that Keeneland Turf Mile that Order of Australia ran last in, looked really, really good in that win. Aiden O'Brien sending Mother Earth, who not his most consistent runner, but still another Aiden O'Brien runner that is
that your bomb? Was that your bomb?
I don't think he's gonna be. I don't think she'll be listed as a bomb. I think she'll get played, but there's just it depends on who they send. If Aiden O'Brien sends I kind of equate him to how Chad Brown is. If Chad's got multiple runners in a race and you're gonna try to single one, it's crazy because you never know which Chad's gonna win.
It seems like it's the second Chad usually.
Right.
To be honest with you,
or third, so if Aiden O'Brien send it just for unless you really have a strong opinion here, if you like one Aiden O'Brien, I would use the others just in case because you never know. And usually that's because I think that's what happened last year. Aiden O'Brien, I'm pretty sure last year had a horse that got heavily bet in the Turf Mile, and I think Order of Australia was his third or fourth horse in the race.
Yeah, exactly.
And won. So this race is all about you really can't make a pick until you have post position and you have the actual field because of pace scenario.
Agreed.
But yeah,
and
right now,
this is a race for me on horizontals. This is why you have to single Jackie's Warrior and why you have to single a horse in the next race that we're going to cover in order to afford to go 6 or 8 deep in this one, because it's
right.
This is
But
the turf mile is always a toss up.
It is. But on the flip side, though, if you really like a horse here and you're like not sure about the others, don't just use 6 or 8 or hit all just because. Like if you if you really like a horse, just like, maybe on like a play like a $5 pick 4 or something like that, or pick 5, depending on what it is, like where this falls in the sequence, in single. Because if you get it right, it gives you more. It gives you more horses you can use in later legs, and this is definitely going to be, like you said, this is one of the tougher legs probably one of the tougher races on the entire Breeders' Cup card.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So.
Yeah. There's no doubt. This is the toughest one out of the 6 we're covering, to me, for sure.
Agreed.
Let's move on. Next up, we'll cover is the distaff. TBG has the top 5 listed as Latruska, Malathot, She Dares the Devil, Clairiere, and Bonnie South. Now we don't see Bonnie South listed as a starter on as a probable. So Swiss Skydiver the same. So we'll just I don't know. To me, this is another one. Actually, Vinny, go ahead. Give your opinion first on this one. I'm curious.
I mean, the race definitely runs through Latruska. If somebody tells you it doesn't, I think they're crazy. She's the pace. She is the pace presence, but there is more pace in here. She's got to run against She Dares the Devil again, who that's her only loss this year. Was like a noser ahead. She lost early in the year to She Dares the Devil.
Yep.
And as time goes by, is in here. And as time goes by, like, I personally don't think she's great, but she's another pace presence. And then you have another horse like Private Mission, who likes to just sit right off, like a length and a half off the pace. So this pace could get hot. And, like Latruska, she's shaken all challengers this year, but this is, if there's a race she's not gonna do it, it's this one. It's a very tough field. A couple of the 3-year-olds are finally stepping up. The
top 4 are all really big time horses. I agree. I think this is at least 4 deep.
And Malathot's done nothing wrong all year. I know there's some people who they don't think she's as good as advertised because she lost that coaching club. But she's
next run right after that was awesome.
Oh, she destroyed that Alabama field. And then I personally like my big issue with Malathot and Clairiere here is depends on how Delmar is going to play. If Delmar just plays towards speed, which it tends to do a lot of the time,
it's
coming from 4 or 5 lengths back probably isn't the best thing. But at the same time, if you're going to get value on them because of Latruska. You're probably going to get value on them because of Latruska and the Baffert horses. So, if I'm going to get Clairiere at 10-1 coming off that Cotillion win, I might take a swing and hope she can do it, because that Cotillion win was very impressive, and she's done nothing wrong all year either. She's just been running behind Malathot all year.
Yeah, for sure. And close on a couple of them too.
Right, her Alabama second there was more impressive than it looked more impressive than it looks if you just look at the chart. Because she did not have a good trip in that Alabama, even though it was a smaller field. But she backed it up in the Cotillion. She buried that field.
Yeah, I see this as Latruska, heavy favorite, obviously probably going to be even money or less. Malathot could pull an upset if things don't go well. She Dares the Devil is probably, in my mind, the only other horse that could win this, just because that horse seems to step up and win big races. I don't think Clairiere can get the win, but I think it's definitely a threat to hit the board. Other than that, I don't see anybody else who's a threat to win the race. I'd be shocked if somebody outside of those top 3 won this race. So I think you got to go 3 deep in a.
And if Latruska, if Latruska does win, I mean, she's a legit contender for horse of the year. She'll at least be if she wins, she's at least a finalist.
I can't imagine a year where there's 4 horses that you can legitimately argue for horse of the year right now.
I think there's
essential quality, Mishriff.
Well, Mishriff's probably lost it on his last race.
Yeah,
and he's probably and he can't
Medina Spirit, essential quality, Latruska.
I think
you throw in a bunch Knicks Go. I mean, a bunch of horses that have 3 or 4 big wins. Hot Rod Charlie has, if he wouldn't have got DQ'd in the one race, maybe he's got 2 or 3 big wins.
There's 4 horses in the Classic, I think, that could win horse of the year if they want. That will win horse of the year if they win. And I think
can't take it. I mean, Medina Spirit, if he wins the Derby and the Classic in the same year, you're going to say he's. I mean, that's
right. Oh yeah, no,
biggest events of the year.
Yep, he would win it. So yeah, I mean, it'd be really cool though if Latruska. As a fan, I would love to see Latruska win.
That would be cool
because her season has been one of the best older filly and mare seasons we've seen in a while, and I think Midnight Bizu a couple years ago had a similar season.
Stomps the distaff field, but then essential quality wins.
She probably will get votes, but she probably won't. I mean, she probably will. Yeah, she'll get votes, but she won't win it. The good thing is she probably already has the older filly and mare, unless she runs dead last year, and something something happened. I don't even know, honestly. Even if she ran dead last year, I don't think there's another older filly or mare that could win that division Eclipse Award. Maybe she dares the devil. If she dares the devil won and Latruska ran last, but she's got that. She's got that award. Yeah, she's got that award locked up though. But as long as if she stomps this field and there's an upset in the Classic, she would have my vote. If there was an upset in the Classic,
if a non top 4 Classic horse, top 4 as far as the odds look right now, which is essential quality, Knicks Go, Medina Spirit, Hot Rod Charlie. If one of those 4 doesn't win, then yes, you're right.
Yeah,
I agree. That'd be cool as a fan from my perspective too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, because Midnight Bizu almost did it a couple of years ago, and then I forget who it was ran up the rail and beat her in the distaff, and she lost all. She won the. It was blue something, wasn't it?
Oh God, I'm drawing a blank too.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but somebody beat. She ran second.
While you look that up, let's go ahead. We'll move on to the last 2 divisions. The turf we'll do next, which again, TVG has listed the top 5 in odds. It looks like they're only listing American horses for whatever reason. They have domestic spending, United, Colonel Liam, Bolshoi Ballet, and 2 Emmys as their top 5. There's obviously a couple big horses that we expect to be on the top of that list. Not there, and Tarnawa is the number 1, from my point of view, to win this race. They don't have any type of odds listed for Tarnawa. Tarnawa, I'm guessing because they're shipping them. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but who do you see in the turf as your choice? Gun to your head right now. You got to pick somebody now.
If I had to pick someone right now, it'd be Tarnawa. If she comes, I would pick Tarnawa. She's just a.
Yeah, I think that's probably. I mean, again, any turf race is everything kind of has to go right. Everything has to happen. It's a different animal, but
yeah, Tarnawa. I mean, I wouldn't sleep on domestic spending either, and I think he won't get as much play because of that last loss. But if domestic spending runs, he's another one. And if Aiden O'Brien sends Love, which I don't know if he's planning on, but if he sends Love, that's another big name Euro. But
what about Goofo?
As much as I've never been huge on Goofo. He runs really well, but it's as much as it's fun to watch him come from the clouds. It is not a running style that in a big race like this that I really want. he's a horse that if I have room on my tickets, I might just include because he'll have a little bit of value and he can.
I'll definitely have him on my tickets.
Right, but like if I'm playing a win, like,
but you're right. So much can go wrong when you're trying to close in on a deep.
Right, and especially when you're like
stretch.
He posts himself up like 20 lengths back. Like he lost that. Like he finished third in the Joe Hirsch last time, and he was like 15, 16 lengths back, and like that wasn't the biggest field, but you know, by the time he started going, the race was over.
There's nothing more exciting than watching that, but
there's nothing more frustrating than having having that horse on your.
It's either the best or worst thing you've ever seen. I mean.
Mm-hmm. And there's a couple others.
Zenyatta was like the classic example of that, where you could never tell what was going to happen. With Zenyatta, in hindsight, obviously she won 90% of the time, but 100% of the time. But
right,
but this is I don't know. What do you think on United? Because United is an MVP for the Profits. I know that much.
He is like. He's a horse. He finished second in the Breeders' Cup Turf at like 50-1 a couple of years ago.
Yes, that's why he's an MVP, because he got us our. We had the trifecta on that, and
nice. Yeah,
and it was awesome. He almost won. He lost by.
He lost by like a and he's a horse.
We had the box. We had the exacta box that I thought he got there, and I was like, oh, dude, it was going to be one of the biggest wins of my life if he got there. It was still awesome exacta. It was like 200 and something bucks, but
he's a horse. I think he's a no matter where he draws in this field. I think he's a must use because he is a horse for course. If this wasn't in California, I would I probably would shy away from him, but in California, like I will use United on everything, and you're gonna get value. Like you're probably gonna get the best odds you've gotten on United in a long time.
Probably between 5 and 8 to 1, something like that.
Yeah, I think you will, and I think he's a very good play. But there's a couple others. It depends on which Euros actually ship over.
Yeah, I think you got to play the 4 horses I see that you have to play here are Tarnawa, Domestic Spending, United, and Goofo. To me, that's the 4 that you have to lock in. I got to make room with a couple singles.
Yeah, I would sub Goofo out and use Yabir for Charlie Appleby, who won that Jockey Club Derby last time out. If he runs, I don't know if he's running, but that horse was also very impressive. But that would be the only. I mean, the first 3 you mentioned are. It would be hard for me not to use those 3, depending on how this race shapes up. But again, it's another race though where you really got to pay attention to the pace, because we're talking about, Domestic Spending closer, Tarnawa closer, Goofo closer. A lot of these horses, even United kind of can stalk a pace, but he's not speed.
Yeah, there's only so many horses that can explode down the last few hundred yards.
Right. And that's how turf races go. But if somebody enters, or, like what happened to Domestic Spending last time out, somebody enters a rabbit or somebody just enters a speed horse and there's no pressure. Like, somebody could steal this on the front end, because right now, I mean, Channel Cat is on the probable list and Channel Maker. Those are two horses who have grade 1 wins who at prices because
got it done like that. We actually had him at a good, like a 12 to 1 or something. And he did just exactly what you said. He just stole a race. He got up 5 lengths early, and there was no speed pressing him.
Yeah. And
won easily. It was shocking.
And Chad's got Tribuvon on the probable list too. I think he went off the favorite in the Sword Dancer and he got pressed. But if he doesn't get pressed, like if for some reason like a horse like that ends up getting entered and there's no pace pressure, like those are 3 horses that are going to be huge prices that have all taken grade 1 fields gate to wire before. So
agreed. That's going to be an awesome race. Can't wait for that one.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite races every year is the Breeders' Cup Turf.
Yeah. We'll move on to the Classic.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick. Blue Prize is the horse that beat Midnight Bizu in 2019.
Yep, I remember that. That was yeah, you're right. That was a pretty disheartening win for, I think.
She hadn't lost all year. She was undefeated all. She
Yep.
finished third in the distaff the year before, and then she was like 8 for 8 or 9 for 9 or something going into the Breeders' Cup, and then lost the Breeders' Cup distaff by. I mean, she lost by a length or two, but like she just couldn't reel in Blue Prize.
All right, that covers everything up until the Classic, the main event. The top 5 pretty obvious. TBG has it listed in this order: Essential Quality, Knicks Go, Medina Spirit, Hot Rod Charlie, and Max Player. And I think that's pretty accurate as far as what the 5 that I think we kind of expect to have a shot to win here. We talked a little before we got on here, and Vinny doesn't think Max Player has a shot, but the other 4 potentially do. Is that true, Vinny? How do you see this race breaking down?
Yeah, I just think it's going to be tough for a horse like Max Player to reel in all of these horses. I mean, it's been done. He won't be on my ticket, but if you play him, like it wouldn't be the.
There has to be some major.
You gotta have a pace
breakdown somewhere.
My thing is like he's gonna need a pace meltdown, but if he gets a pace meltdown, he's not even the best. He's the best deep closer. But if there's a pace meltdown, he's gonna have to.
Can we just say no closer even has a shot in this? Because there's too much speed and there's too much stock. There's no. I mean, you're talking the best horses in the world right now are all gonna run up in the top 2 or 3 spots.
And that's
the best horses in the world. All the 4 that we are considering and TVG is considering the top 4 are all speed stock, and they're all the best in the world.
And that's gonna be the issue with the race is that's why I've liked Hot Rod Charlie all year. He's so versatile.
Hot Rod Charlie's awesome.
He doesn't need the lead. He can sit right behind the lead. Essential Quality sits right behind the lead. Medina Spirit might need the lead, and Knicks Go definitely needs the lead.
Yeah,
but whoever if Knicks Go breaks like a rocket, I don't see Medina Spirit being able to rush up and challenge him. But it's vice versa though. Like if Medina Spirit breaks like a rocket, they're going to rush Knicks Go up, and it will compromise both of them. So it's like,
and then Essential Quality and Hot Rod Charlie are sitting right where they want to be.
I really hope that's the exacta. I hope we get a repeat of the Belmont and one of those 2 wins because they have been like this 3-year-old class. I think is very good.
Yeah, I love it. I love Essential Quality and Hot Rod Charlie. I love both of those. Medina Spirit, it's a shame because I think it's tarnished a little bit with the whole Baffert thing, and that's unfair to the horse and the whole team now. But at the same time,
it is
what it is.
He's just tough to judge. Like he runs that Derby and all that stuff comes out, and like the Derby was very impressive. Take the drugs aside, if you just watch the replay.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Like
he ran
amazing.
Yep. Everybody else ran a good. I mean, EQ was right where he should have been. And
Hot Rod was there. Yeah, Hot Rod was there. Like
they were all there.
Yep, they were all there. He comes back in the Preakness and he sucks. Like no way. Like he was bad.
Yeah, dude. Not even in the conversation.
Yep. He was absolutely awful in the Preakness.
But then he looked great his last time out.
Right. So, and then they run him in the Shared Belief, which there was nobody. Like this is my issue. There was nobody in the Shared Belief. Yeah. He beat Rock Your World, who has done nothing.
The biggest airball in the history of horse racing.
Yep. In 3rd place was Stiletto Boy, who Stiletto Boy is on the probable list. But come on, he'll not. He'll be 99 to 1. And then he wins the Awesome again, and he looked good doing it.
Yep.
But Stiletto Boy finished 2nd.
Yeah.
So
he hasn't beaten anybody.
Yeah. Right. So since his positive drug test, he's beaten nobody. Am I supposed?
He jogged to victory in those last couple. I mean, and granted, he looked really good doing it, but
like that Awesome
really
again,
good running against 5-year-old kids too. Like
right. Like I mean, he beat a couple okay horses in the Awesome again, but I don't think if you took his name out of the Awesome Again and looked at the rest of the field, you wouldn't be like the winner of this race is going to be a
Could you
top
imagine?
player in the Classic.
Would we be talking about Stiletto Boy to win the thing?
No, like we wouldn't be talking about Stiletto Boy to win. We wouldn't be talking about Tripoli to win or Idol to win or
No,
Express
those are all
Train.
backer. Those are all second half of the top 10.
Right. They're great. You know,
they deserve to be there.
They're mid tier. You know, yeah, they're like B tier. They're like B tier horses. Like as bad as that is to say.
No, you're
So
right.
he hasn't.
I think you have those first four, and then I think there's a couple in there. I think Max Player and Idol could be like real outside shots, and then everybody else is just racing for like fifth.
And
to be honest,
the wild card, in my opinion, is Art Collector.
Yeah, true. Because that thing has been a mystery. I mean, that thing has had some monster races and some bad ones.
And he's had some really good races against some very bad. Like his Woodward was impressive. He beat Maxfield. He beat Dr. Post, and I know they're not.
And he beat him like pretty. I mean, Maxfield was all in and he had nothing. And Maxfield, up to that point, was a major player in this conversation.
Yeah, and since he got switched to Bill Mott to start this year, Art Collector's been good. I mean, his Aladar was impressive. His Charlestown Classic was impressive. Woodward was impressive. Like he's done nothing wrong. The question is he good enough on the front end to compete with Knicks Go? Because Knicks Go thrashed him last year in the in the dirt mile.
True.
So it would be, I would be, yeah,
not in the same. I think it's the four top dogs.
If like he's the one though that even if he's not good enough, as long as he's good enough for a half mile to stick with him and stick with Knicks Go and Medina Spirit, that really opens things up for Essential Quality, who honestly I think is the only major player that we know isn't going to get that won't go right to the lead early. Because even Hot Rod Charlie, if he breaks well, he's going to the lead. They're not going to pull him back if he breaks well. So he's like the one constant that he's going to be 3 or 4 lengths behind the pace.
Yep. And that's a pretty, from a bettor's perspective, it's a pretty comforting spot to see him in, because okay, he's not gonna kill himself trying to race up to the front. And like you said, Knicks Go, Medina Spirit, and Hot Rod Charlie might burn themselves to death.
Yeah,
just trying to get there. And Essential Quality is just gonna sit 2 or 3 lengths off of them and do his work where he does his work in the second half.
Yeah, it's going to be. This is definitely one of the more competitive classics I think we've had. And
yeah, you don't usually talk about 4. There's 4 horses that I wouldn't be surprised if any of them won.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be Knicks Go or Essential Quality, which are the 2. I mean, those are going to be the betting favorites. I don't know. Medina Spirit might be close. A lot of people are going to be on him.
Yeah, I think Knicks Go. I think Knicks Go is the favorite, and like if you had to tell me right now to pick a horse to win, I would pick Knicks Go.
I would too. Me too. Unfortunately, I hope he doesn't, but
right, same here. The fan in me would love to see Hot Rod Charlie or Essential Quality win, though.
Yep, same.
I would love to see like those two, like midway down the stretch, those two just separate themselves, and just we have another Belmont run.
Yep, Belmont worked out perfect. Like I loved that. That was my favorite race of the year for sure.
Because it's cool that they've knocked heads a few times already this year. Like you don't see that. Plus, they were the last year in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Yeah, that's crazy too.
Right.
That's crazy that they have. Yeah, they have dueled and usually within like a half length of each other for most of their battles.
Half length in the Juvenile, like a length in the Belmont. They finished third and fourth in the Derby by less than a length apart. So what? This is gonna be their 4th race against each other now.
Yeah, I was rewatching some of these races earlier today actually, and you know who else is like the unsung hero of the year was like Midnight Bourbon, who was like on the same way that Hot Rod Charlie has lost to Essential Quality by a half a length. Midnight Bourbon was just that much slower than Hot Rod Charlie, and it was like that horse was a monster all year but couldn't win.
I said
it. Get over.
I don't know if I said it on one of your shows or I said it on somebody else's show. I said after the Derby, Midnight Bourbon after the Derby. Midnight Bourbon is he's my pick right now. If I had to pick a horse of the year for 2022, he's my pick. I think he's going to be an absolute monster next year.
Yeah, he has done nothing wrong. He's been
going to
super
run
competitive with the best in the world all year, and
they're running
he hasn't had a bad race except for the stumble when he tripped.
Yeah, he's going to run in the. He's supposed to run in the Clark next. At the end of the.
I'll be rooting for him. I mean, yeah, that's a horse that could get better with the 4-year-old.
He should get better. And yeah, they're gonna run him in the Clark. It's a grade 1, and he should be able to beat that. The field that's so far lining up, he should be able to win, and that should be, in my opinion, that will be like his coming out party, where like people will be like, oh, he is good, and then they'll probably send him to they'll probably send him to the Pegasus and then Dubai. He'll probably take a similar path as Gunrunner did his 4-year-old year.
All right, man. I'm going to cut us off here. We've gone 40 plus minutes, so good talk. We'll do this again. We'll revisit these once we get a little closer and the field start to take more shape. And then again, obviously, as the post positions come out, we'll run through them a little tighter. But yeah, this was a good talk. Vinny, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you as always.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always fun.
All right. Take care, man. We'll see you.
Take care.